So thank you so much for joining us for the second day of TFcon, and I'm going to pass it over to our panelists. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you very much. If I'd have known I could have figures and play with them up here, I would have brought all of my collection, but it's an unfortunate thing that I didn't. So my name is Samuel J. Flatman. I run a YouTube channel called TFI Creations. I've been doing it for the last, come August, it'll be the last 8 years. Now first, I do just say one thing. Every now and then when I get extremely nervous, I do have a bad stutter. Now, sometimes that stutter in terms of filmmaking has become a problem. There was one day, I'll tell a quick story here, I was with a voice actor who we go by the username Spooky D-Man, and he was asking me for an example on how to read a character's line. And so naturally, when I read a script, I stutter. So I gave an example on how to do the line, stuttered completely, and in his recording, he had copied my stutter. And I'm like, no, just that was a real stutter. Please don't make this character stutter. He's not supposed to stutter, and it made me very, very self-aware. So the way this is going to go down is I'm going to go over a few things about Transformers fan filmmaking, because in the last 8 years of doing this, a lot of people ask, how do I get into doing fan films? I want to do more with my collection. How do I get going? So I've actually got a few people here who I've known for a long time through TFI Creations. So I'm excited to have them here. They've actually flown in from all across North America. So the first thing I'm going to show here is some slides here. So TFI who and what is TFI? So TFI actually stands for Transformers Interstellar. That was the very first project I did way back in 2014. Please don't go and look it up. It is a horribly aged project that I did with a dinky. No, Don, I see you rubbing your hands. Please don't. It's already become a meme in our group, and it haunts my dreams. So yeah, I started YouTube in August 2014 because I said to myself, I want to do something with my collection and prove to my parents that they're not just toys. And they're still not proud. But anyway, so we've done a couple of films and a few trilogies. One that the team and I are most known for is Transformers Interstellar. We have the Rollout trilogy, and then there's our Back to the Future Transformers crossover trilogy called Gigawatt. Over the years, we've slowly grown over 12 million views and 55,000 subscribers, which is to me is absolutely insane. You tell a little 10-year-old me who's buying his first little Transformer and then breaks it that he would be here doing this. It is wow. So why create fan films? Then we have an excuse to play with our toys. For me, I've always wanted to just tell a story. I've always wanted to be able to, tell the stories from my childhood, because I grew up watching Beast Wars. Although in Canada, it was called Beasties, which I only recently discovered, because everyone was like, Sam, did you ever watch Beasties? I'm like, no, I watched Beast Wars. I don't know what Beasties is, and then I realized it was Beasties here. It's a great way to start getting into filmmaking. And if you've always wanted to, see, and there's the stutter, there we go. If you've always wanted to get into filmmaking, this is a great way to do it, because it's a great opportunity to take characters that are familiar to you and tell a story that you've always wanted to tell. And and we've seen in the dealer room, there are a plethora of figures to use, and I've been collecting for a long time. And I buy more figures, and there's no shelves to put them on, unfortunately, which is the more difficult thing. But also, the community has done so much for me, especially as a child growing up, a very nerdy child who was always sitting alone in the cafeteria. Is this just a pity fest for me now? Is that what this is turning into? I would just sit alone with my little Transformers in the cafeteria. Hey, that's Sam, the weird kid. So the community has always been there for me, and you guys are absolutely amazing. I'm glad that you guys were able to make it here to see little old me. TFI Creations has brought me the best things in my life, and now I get to meet you people and go to the dealer room and buy more figures I don't have shelves for. Now, I'll show a little bit of our work moving forward. We're going to actually show 2 trailers for projects that are going to come out next year, hopefully. We actually don't do stop motion. And there's one reason for that. I'm lazy. No. So I have done stop motion in the past, but I was never really good at it. So I tried a different style that's been given many, many different names, one of which being TFI motion, action motion, puppetry, and go back a few seconds, I swear I saw your hands. Because I'm moving the figures on frame, but this allows us to take the figures, go to a beach, go to a forest, and absolutely have like beautiful backgrounds that actually move and flow. Different styles of camera movement imply different types of movement, and you'll see in some of the footage that I will be showing. And people have asked if we're going to do stop motion more in the future, and I'm down to experiment a bit more, but it's a style that, our style has become kind of unique to us and the team, where when you see it, you know that it's a style that we have done. So just for the next little bit, I'm going to go over a little bit of equipment, but I don't want to make this too technical because, you hear people all the time say, does equipment matter? Does it really matter if I have the 4K this, the 8K camera or whatnot? I'll go over that. This is just a small list of the equipment that we use, and everything is very small. Everything is very tiny, like the lights are small, the sets are small, the cameras, the tripods. The other thing I think the biggest piece of equipment is actually the drone, which I've already crashed. It's okay. But it's really fun to do everything on miniature. The real issue, though, is when you're kneeling on some rocks in the boiling heat, hunched over like a little hermit trying to get these shots, and people walk by you and just go, I swear I saw that weird kid in the cafeteria in the corner. So that's, some nerdy things never change. So the next thing I'm going to talk about very, very briefly is just some of the software. This is a picture here of the timeline from our last film, Rollout 3. There was a lot of death on that one. Anyway, so I use Premiere Pro for the basic editing, putting things together, the sound effects, the music, and whatnot. Adobe After Effects is used for all the CGI and the explosions. Naturally, we've all learned from Michael Bay that Transformers need explosions. And if I make a film without an explosion, can I call myself a Transformers filmmaker? But the one thing that the team and I have done to make the Transformers seem more alive, because they're not moving, is the fact that they have CGI eyes. They have lens flares on their eyes, they can blink, and anytime a character doesn't have lens flares turned on, it's a great way to show that they have died. Because there's no stop motion, they can't physically topple over unless I tie a string to it, give it a good yank, and then it falls off a cliff, which has actually happened. I've had to almost dive over a hill to grab poor little Combiner Wars blades. Almost never saw him again that day. And the last piece of equipment is Adobe Audition. I am a simp for Adobe. They are glitchy programs, but I will not take any slander of them. Premiere Pro crashes at least twice every 5 minutes, so you gotta just hit quick save as fast as you can. But Adobe Audition is used for all the sound recording, putting the robotic effects on everything, just to make everything sound more otherworldly. Now the more important question, and this is one I've been wanting to talk about, especially with other people in the community. Does equipment matter? And I've seen a lot of YouTubers say, does equipment matter? Well, they're holding a big 4K camera and they're like, no, it doesn't matter. It can matter if you want it to. If you want your films to have a professional look, or if you're doing it just for fun, it really depends on what you're looking for. But in the end, I don't think equipment matters as much as an idea. Because a lot of people don't even try to make films. People say they want to make a film, but they don't have the drive, they don't have the inspiration. I really want to try to help people find that drive and that inspiration. Even if you're filming a little fan film with a phone or just an iPad, as long as you're telling a story and you're creating something, it doesn't matter what you're using. I started off, like I said, with a dinky little Canon, oh, you can say, oh yeah, it's right there, I forgot. From the 2014, that little camera there with atrocious quality, with no lighting setup, a basic editing program, and 8 years later, now we've got the 4K camera, now we have the drone, and all of that stuff comes with time. Some people, they'll look at their collection, oh, I don't have the most updated figure. I don't have the best camera. In reality, that doesn't matter. What's more important is that you have an idea, because passion and heart will fund a film further than money ever can. and which is funny because my bank account is always empty. I blame TFcon for this. But yeah, I've never said that equipment really matters, but at the same time, it can up the wow factor, but it's not a necessity. I will always take a good story over good quality. Now, how do you get started? So on the right here are just some title cards of some of the films that we have done in the past, but the best way to get started is always with an idea. And sometimes those are the hardest things to come by. It's always about finding that inspiration and surrounding yourself with people that will support you. It's hard to find people that can support something so niche, but I found them, and you guys are awesome, especially the TFI crew here. It's all about finding an idea. And I'm gonna quote Stan Lee here. If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some schmuck talk you out of it. Because I've heard it all the time, Sam, there's no money in YouTube. As I've said, the best things in my life have come from TFI Creations and doing these fan films. And I'm up here talking at a panel with you guys. It is unreal. Now, a lot of people can look at their work and say, I'm not improving. Why is this not good? Why is it not looking the way I want it to? Why do I watch, other people and I see their work getting all the views and mine doesn't? You can't compare yourself. Never compare your work to other people's work. The only work that you should compare your work to is your own past work. When I first started in 2014, I made the first Transformers Interstellar series, and I thought, this is the coolest thing ever. 8 years later, I want to delete it off of YouTube, because it has not aged well, and neither have I. And improvement will always happen. Over time, it'll always happen. If you try to improve and you chase every opportunity that you can find, you will improve, even if you're not trying to. And you will meet people that will support you and help you grow, and because every now and then I'll send a scene over to a few people to review, and I'll think, yeah, the scene is great, and they'll come back with an extensive set of notes, and I'll go, yeah, maybe I'm not that good at this. Yeah, I'm looking at you. But the most important thing is never stop. Never, ever stop. Always find that passion to create films. And if you find yourself losing that passion, watch some movies, play some video games. If I ever lose the inspiration, I'll give this guy a call and we'll watch a Transformers movie, and next thing you know, the notebook is filled with ideas. And it's something that I'm very grateful that I'm easily inspired, sometimes overly inspired, because I'll greenlight too many projects, and suddenly I'm working on 3 at once, and the computer can't handle all the footage, so I'm like, we gotta put one on hold, guys. This is not working out. So what I'm gonna show now, do not zoom in. What I'm gonna show now is some behind the scenes of one of our projects, and I'll give sort of a breakdown on how some things are done here. So this is one of the behind the scenes from one of our films called Refuge. This was meant to be a Bumblebee, not sequel, but also not prequel. It kind of takes place during the Bumblebee movie, because we always try to connect the dots and such. But this is kind of a breakdown of before and after of some of the effects that we do, and you'll see that the eyes are always the first things that are noticeable, that they light up. And the eye effects was basically me saying, I'm too lazy to do stop motion. How do I make them look more alive? And so the lens flare became a thing. And while I think it does make them look more alive, it was one of the biggest regrets of my life, because I have done thousands upon thousands of shots where I have to track their eyes, and it is a nightmare, which is why I love it when figures don't have eyes. They'll have like a visor or like a goggle down. I'm like, cool, I don't have to do any eye tracking on that one, and it's perfect. And it's something that it's extremely fun to do, and I honestly encourage anybody here who has an idea or wants to do a film to go out and just do it. It doesn't matter if you don't think it's going to look good. It doesn't matter if you create the project and you think, I don't like how that looks. That just means keep going. You just have to keep going. Doing this has been the most fun thing in my entire life, and I honestly encourage you guys, like, grab a figure, grab a camera, and just make a film, put it on YouTube, and just keep going. If you've ever wanted to make a film, just do it. I'm gonna Shia LaBeouf it, just do it, you know? If you ever wanted to do it, just grab a camera, write down some ideas, any spontaneous ideas you may have, you know, have a notebook on you at all times and write down an idea that you might have. Because inspiration can come from anywhere. And as I said before, passion and heart can fund a film so much farther than money ever can. Because there are a lot of people that do this just for the fame, just to have the best figures and the best equipment. But if you love what you do and you genuinely think your idea is great, then it's going to turn out great no matter what. You just have to keep going. And I know inspiration can be the absolute most atrocious thing to come across, but it can come from anywhere. You just have to absolutely keep going. So this montage here is from a bunch of our different projects. Well, they're dead. I'm going to show in a second 2 trailers for 2 projects that we're going to be releasing next year. One of them is a film. One of them is a series. I'm going to show these now, and I assume they're on both these screens.
It was war. As entire species of native fauna and flora died beneath the killing cold, 2 armies battled on. We found shelter in the warm embrace of the planet's subterranean reaches. We could remain at low power until the conditions changed. Safe from harm for centuries.
It's been megacycles since we were forged. Earth is our responsibility, and always will be. Though it pains me to know others have lost sight of this purpose. For every ally, an enemy follows. Every victory, a defeat. Let the battle for Earth commence. Let the Beast Wars begin.
Oh, stop. What more can I say about this, to be honest? Like, you're gonna meet so many people doing this, and eventually you might be up here doing the same thing, sharing your work. But just be careful with who you work with, because there was one day I was recording some Megatron lines for one of our series, and I send them over to Andrew Felipe here, also known as Coolerite on his YouTube. And I thought, okay, cool, review these lines, please. I'm sure they sound great. Yeah, he messaged me an hour later going, Sam, I thought you could act. I've never forgotten that. And I'll never forgive you. But that's just a sign of, you know, your crew and your team helping you grow. Yeah. Yes, I'm saying what you paid me to say, I know. But again, as I've said, you'll meet the most amazing people doing this, and you get to go to TFcon where people walk up to you and they go, oh my God, are you TFI Creations? And I'm sitting there like, yes. I would also like to point out a few members in the audience here. There are so many people here who have traveled across the country to be here at TFcon and to see me speak. I'm going to point out a few members of the TFI crew first. Caden, also known as MK, he has traveled all the way from California. See me? I don't know why. Look, we got TFI merch. Isn't that cool? Look, Dad. Next up, I need to point out Andrew Felipe, also known as Coolerite, who is crouched and filming me right now. You can stand, you know. Hey, you down there. It's okay. I also need to point out Tiara, who was my partner, who flew all the way here from BC. And way back there, we have Matt on the camera. He lives in the area, so he gets a minor applause. And misses all the exits on the highway. I just called you out. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I missed the one on the way here and said nothing. So.
Oh boy, and then there are a few members here who are part of our Discord that I would like to point out. We have, I'm going to use their usernames. I'm sorry. Shotblaster, Lord Cringe, the cringiest, Firestrike, War, and then Delaney, the sister of Cringe, and Shot's father. These are all people that I've met through this, and this is honestly this is mostly our first time meeting each other, and it's at a TFcon, at a panel for this, just because one day I decided to pick up and play with toys, and I still do. You should have seen the haul I took home from TFcon yesterday. Walk home with it in the door, you know, we're all of us barging into the house, my house unfortunately, with all the figures, and my dad goes, "Don't you have them all?" They'll never understand, will they? Nope, never.
Hi there.
Hello.
I have a YouTube channel as well. I'm Keeper of Toast on there. First, I want to say, really looking forward to that Hearts of Steel movie. Big train guy. But I've been working on and off writing a series of my own for several years now. I was wondering if you might be able to elaborate on your writing process.
Okay. Well, first I panic because I can't think of anything.
Okay, so I've got that part.
Yeah, okay, so you've got that. Okay, stage 2, panic a little less. All right. So the way the writing process goes, most of the time I write on the spot. I struggle to keep focus because a lot of us have ADHD, oh no. Attention deficit, hey, a donut. So what I like to do, and especially when I'm collaborating, is I'll do a bit of a scene breakdown. There'll be the title, then there'll be scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and it'll be a basic, extremely rough outline on how the story is going to go all the way to the end. Basically a dot-jot version of the film. Once that's done, I then sleep on it, because you always want to wake up with like a fresh mind. Then I'll open, I think I use Celtics, and I'll just start, translating the dot jots into dialogue and direction, and sometimes it can take a while. Some scripts can get done in a week, some scripts can get done in months. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as it's getting done, of course. But the dot jots especially help, and also make references from other films and from your own life. I myself pour so much of my life into my work. Half of the quotes that these characters say are song lyrics from my favorite bands, but they're woven in there to sound like actual, I'm just plagiarizing everything. Yeah, the dot jot form really helps. A notepad of ideas really helps, and just sit down with a nice tea or a coffee and just don't focus so much on a single idea, because you'll block out the random, the random ideas. And then I'll forward the script to one of these guys, and they'll tell me it sucks. Help.
I had a couple of questions, one about the toys and the other one about the kind of stories you write. So the question about the stories, are you looking for, when you're filming something, do you always look for a specific toy design, or do you ever think, oh, we don't have this character, what do we do?
So I tend to try to not mix designs. So for example, if we're doing a story in the Bayverse continuity, I won't use figures from Prime or G1 or War for Cybertron. So I'm always on the lookout to make sure all the character styles match each other. Especially with our rollout films, it was strictly the Combiner Wars, Titans Return, and the War for Cybertron. I need to stop hitting that. And the War for Cybertron trilogy figures because they all sort of matched. And if there's a character we need that we don't have, eBay. I will unfortunately pay scalped prices to find a certain character. And if a figure just absolutely cannot be found, I'll try to find a way to maybe rewrite the character as somebody else. I'll make some sacrifices if they genuinely look similar enough.
Through these sacrifices, did you ever find, oh, this works better than what I originally had?
Yeah. We did a film, we did a remake of our Transformers Interstellar film, and we used all the Studio Series Bayverse figures. And when that film was done, really cool third-party figures came out, and I went, great, and it's already done. And we should have waited one more year, and we would have had these big upscale masterpieces and stuff. And I thought, well, the 10th anniversary remake of Interstellar, there we go, we'll use those ones.
Is that a promise?
Oh no.
Sorry, question number 2. When you're writing down ideas and you're starting to write stories, did you ever think, oh, this medium does not suit this story, so this story is better suited for another medium?
Actually, yes. And it's funny you mentioned that. I just finished writing a novel because we have, it's very, very short. It's like a short story. I shouldn't use the word novel. It's not that long. It's only about 30 pages. But we have a ton of original characters based off of World War I plane designs. And we have a custom of one of the figures made by Andrew Felipe here. The character's name is Trichotomus. He turns into a World War I triplane that looks very similar to the Red Barons. And all the other characters are World War I styled, and there's no way to tell their story film-wise. So, what? Your shirt. Oh, he's literally right there. I'm like, what do you want? Yeah, there he is, Trichotomus right there. So I wanted to tell him and his team's story, but there's no way to do it visually, so I wrote a short story, and I've worked with animators to do, little cartoon versions of these characters as well, because there's tons of mediums to always use. So yeah.
Comic books.
Oh, we're gonna do a comic book soon. I should not hit the table.
Are you planning to make a tweet about the Rainmakers?
About the Rainmakers?
Yeah.
Which is neat because I actually just got those figures not too long ago, and someone was trying to steal one. A few of you actually were eyeing my collection. So the Rainmakers actually did make an appearance in one of our Gigawatt films, I believe it was. They were in our first Back to the Future crossover film. They weren't like a spotlight characters or whatnot. But in our rollout continuity, we are hoping to do more spin-offs based on characters. So there's a very good chance that those guys will appear.
Is there a price threshold for video cameras below which the image quality can't be made to look pro no matter what you do with the software after the fact? Is there a particular price threshold that you found that you shouldn't bother with anything below $1,000, or you have to put in at least 2,000? You'll end up with capturing enough resolution so that it can look pro with the software.
Right. Oh, numbers, prices, oh boy. Well, I've noticed that the first camera that I upgraded to was the Canon T5i, and I think that was like 800, and I felt like that gave me enough quality to be able to capture the details on the figures. In terms of really good quality, I don't think you'll find anything below 5 to 6. Stop touching it, Sam. 5 to 600. And if you want to get into the 4K range, that's when you're going to be over 1,000. Because my current 4K camera, the Sony a6300, was $1,200. Oh God. I'm still paying for it, and the drone was more.
Is there a value added in, spending 2,000 or 3,000?
When you spend that much on camera gear, you're getting a lot more sharp quality, and you'll also get like you'll get 4K, better depth of field, and if you go with the Sony route, you get an S-Log format, which makes the image quality very, very flat, but that allows you to really, really push the color grading. So the higher the price, the more quality that you will get for sure.
You've been an inspiration to all of us. Like, I literally flew in from Florida with my dad just to see you guys. Like, this is insane. Like, but I just wanted to say thank you for being you. Thank you for being an awesome content creator.
Thank you.
We're at the 10-minute mark, so if you've been pondering questions you wanted to have,
can I ask a question?
Come on up. I kind of have a question / observation. I was only familiar with the most popular girls at school in terms of people using toys to communicate a story, and I noticed they had severe burnout, and eventually they went to professional stop motioning. Are you planning on any level to start becoming, to do anything besides Transformers, like go after G.I. Joe or ponies or something like that?
Alongside, I have done some other stuff that I don't really focus on. Like we've done Halo machinimas. I've done Spider-Man films in the past. Who wants to see me in spandex? No one. I've always wanted to branch out a lot more. Especially, I would love to do films in this style with Halo action figures because they're really, really great. But unfortunately, they're kind of fragile. So but anything that I can add effects to and still, play with as like a grown man-child, I would love to expand outside of Transformers. I've been thinking about Marvel as well, because I do have some Marvel legends and some crew members who have, we've already talked about one as well. So yeah, I would definitely love to expand as well.
Hi.
Hi.
So, Friday I had the pleasure of spending some time with you guys while you were filming and recording. I want to say we spent about like 2 hours out there. My question is, out of those 2 hours we were out there, how much footage do you think, like video footage that you're going to edit and post, do you think you got in those 2 hours? And how long does it usually take to record a full video, and then how long are your videos usually? This is my first time like seeing the finished product. It's amazing, it's beautiful. And I know you spent a lot of time on that Friday filming and recording, so my question is like, how much usable footage do you usually get out of those like 2 hours plus you spent outside?
So in the 2 hours that we were out there in the blistering, burning heat, we got 5 minutes of usable footage. About 5 minutes, but for bigger projects, we're looking at months with maybe 1 to 2 hour recording sessions. Our biggest film, Transformers Interstellar, that's an hour-long film. That took about 6 months to film. And I usually film by myself. It was a privilege to be able to film with these guys on Friday, except we were filming our Jurassic Park Transformers crossover, Jurassic Spark.
I get it.
I'm very glad. and we had a Brachiosaurus in the water begin to float away. So poor Matt had to get in the water. He was in the water, and he had to chase it. And I just was following him with the drone because that was the funniest thing, just to see.
I have one last question. Why are you making fan-made and not the real movies?
Honestly, if Hasbro or Paramount approached me and said, "Do you want to work for us?" I think I would honestly say no, because I love this too much. I love doing TFI films and working with the crew. I don't think I could do this professionally because I love it too much as something that's just a part of me. I don't want this to be a job. I want this to remain a hobby and something just that I love, because I feel if I'm obligated to do this, I feel like I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I would love the opportunity to work with Hasbro and Paramount and such, but if I had to choose between continuing TFI or do it professionally, it would always be TFI.
I think we should wrap up.
All right, from all of us at TFcon, a huge heartfelt thanks to TFI. Big round of applause, guys. Let's go! Look forward to chatting a little more at the panel, and thank you all so much for being here. Stay around, we have an amazing panel coming up.